Working for yourself can be both financially and emotionally satisfying and give you freedom employees rarely get to experience in their professional careers. However you label yourself, consultant, freelancer, or independent contractor, you have a unique opportunity to choose how you'll do business, where you'll where you'll do business, and how you'll handle all the day-to-day details of running your business. This book will help you successfully start and run your operations in a business like manner. Working for yourself is intended for those self employed people who provide personal services such as writers, healthcare consultants, artists, photographers, household movers, lawyers, doctors, web designers, accountants, quality assurance, QA, testing, and drivers. It includes those who work in the gig economy and sell their services through online hiring platforms like Uber, Upwork, Freelancer, and many others. Working for yourself covers all the current legal and tax basics self-employed people need to know, including how to choose the type of business entity that's right for you, sole proprietor, corporation, or LLC, obtain business licenses and permits, insure your business and yourself, price your services and get paid on time, pay estimated taxes, keep track of taxable business expenses, including special breaks for home-based businesses. Prepare and sign written client agreements, including special issues with online hiring platforms. Take steps to ensure that the IRS doesn't view you as an employee if you or your client are audited. Set up a good record keeping and bookkeeping system. Manage employees, if any, and deal with any special IP issues that may come up, such as regards ownership of a copyright or a patent. This 11th edition has been completely updated to reflect all the tax changes under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which took effect in 2018. Changes that are largely beneficial to the self-employed. All right. Fortunately for yourself, Fortunately, working for yourself is not a book you need to read cover to cover. We know you are a busy person. Exactly what chapters and sections you'll want to read depends on many factors, including whether you're already self-employed or just starting out, whether you work at home or an outside office, whether you are constantly hustling business or have one or two solid clients. We've tried to organize the book so you can easily find the information you need, whether you want trusted advice on whether to form an LLC or operate as a sole proprietor or need a sample client agreement you can tailor for your own business. We provide lots of information on the thicket, thicket, on the thicket of tax issues facing the self employed, especially if you work at home. And remember, you can deduct the cost of buying this book as a business expense. Well, la dee da. What's in a name? People who work for themselves use a variety of descriptive labels, including self employed, freelancer, consultant, entrepreneur, gig worker, solopreneur, micropreneur, mompreneur, contract worker, contingent worker, creative professional, business owner, one person business owner, micro business owner, home business owner, independent worker, or independent contractor. These labels are often used interchangeably. Some mean different things in different businesses or professions. None has any legal significance except for the last, an independent contractor. An independent contractor is a worker who is not classified as an employee for tax or other legal purposes. A crucial distinction discussed later in this book. You are free to call yourself anything you want. One recent survey found that a plurality of people who work for themselves, 36%, prefer the term self employed, followed by independent contractor, 15%, and business owner, 13%. A golden age for the self employed. In the past, most people were self employed, and that's what everybody should be. They owned and worked on farms and had their own small businesses. This changed in the 19th century when the Industrial Revolution created massive factories and offices manned by wage slaves. Now, the process is reversing itself. Indeed, the growth in the number of the self-employed has been dubbed the industrial revolution of our time. Some of the factors that make being self-employed better than ever before include more work. It is common today for businesses of all sizes to hire independent contractors, even those who work out of their homes. The internet. The internet makes it much easier and cheaper for self-employed people to market their services, exchange information, and communicate with clients and customers. Many self-employed people find work through online freelance hiring platforms like Upwork, Freelancer, TaskRabbit, and Guru. Obamacare. The advent of Obamacare, the affordable tax, the affordable something. Anyway, the advent of Obamacare, Affordable Tax Act, the Affordable Tax, what, the Affordable Healthcare, something or other. Anyway, the advent of Obamacare has made it possible for every self-employed person to obtain health insurance coverage, even those with pre-existing conditions. This has freed millions of people from job lock, the inability to leave a job because it provides health insurance. Solo support industry. A growing solo worker support industry has developed. This includes unions and other organizations for the self-employed, such as the Freelancers Union, an inexpensive or free software and inexpensive or free software and applications freelancers can use for bookkeeping, invoicing, project tracking, contact creation, and tax preparation. Caution: this book is not intended for businesses that sells goods, such as someone who owns a clothing store or a restaurant that sells jewelry on Etsy. These, in these cases, other Nolan, other no Nolo, other Nolo business books may be appropriate, such as Perry Pacruz Small Business Startup Kit. All right. 6 things you may not know about the self employed. Welcome to the world of self employment. You're in good company. Here are some things you may not know about the self employed. There are lots of them. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 10.6 million independent contractors work in the United States, representing 6.9% of total employment. In fact, 4 out of 10 adult Americans are either currently working or have worked as independent contractors sometime during their careers. Over $1.2 trillion in total income is generated by the self employed each year. Rich people are more likely to work for themselves. Self employed people account for 2/3 of all American millionaires. They tend to be older. According to a recent survey, 44% of self employed people are 50 years of age or older. Only 20% are younger than 33. They tend to be happy. A recent survey found that almost 2/3 of self employed people were highly satisfied with their situation. Only 9% expressed dissatisfaction with their work situation. They work more hours. Nearly half of all self-employed Americans work more than 44 hours in a typical work week, compared to 39% of American workers overall. 38% in government and in private business, and 30% in nonprofit organizations. They work in a variety of fields. The self employed work in a wide variety of occupations, including higher skill knowledge and creative occupations and lower skill service occupations. The self-employed work in a variety of occupations, including higher skill knowledge and creative occupations and lower skill service occupations. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, self-employed rates are highest. Self-employment rates are highest for workers in the arts, entertainment, and media, 26.7%, personal care, 22.8%, construction and extraction, 22.6%, building and grounds cleaning, 17.6%, legal, 17.2%, management, 16.2%, and sales, 8.1%. Get an independent contractor agreement, useful forms, and updates on this book's companion page on nolo.com. This book includes several useful forms, including an independent contractor agreement you can tailor for your own clients. You can download all the forms in this book at www.nolo.com back of book /wage.html. All right. When there are important changes to the information in this book, we will post those updates on the same dedicated page. What we call the book's companion page. See Appendix A using the downloadable forms on the NOLO site, our website, for a list of all forms and resources available on NOLO.com. All right, working for yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Working for yourself, the good, independence, higher earning potential, tax benefits. Working for yourself, the bad. Okay, working for yourself, the ugly. Double Social Security, Medicare tax, personal liability for debts, deadbeat clients, how this book will help you succeed at self employment. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Before you delve into the following chapters, here's a quick overview of the pros and cons of being self employed as compared to being an employee. It may help you make an informed decision if you're thinking about striking out on your own, or help confirm that you made the right decision if you're already working for yourself. Working for yourself, the good. Being self employed can give you more freedom and privacy than working for an employer. It can also result in substantial tax benefits, benefits that have increased as a result of the new tax law. Independence. Most self employed people bask in the freedom that comes from being in business for themselves and being their own boss. The amount of money you make is directly related to the quantity and quality of your work. Unlike most employees, unlike most employees, you don't need to ask your boss for a raise. You simply go out and find more work. Likewise, if you're self employed, you're normally not dependent upon a single company for your livelihood. So, the hiring and firing decisions of any one company won't have the same impact on you as on that company's employees. This sentiment expressed by one self employed person sums it up. I can choose how, when, and where to work for as much or as little time as I want. In short, I enjoy working for myself. Higher earning potential. While while how much you're paid is a matter for negotiation between you and your clients, you can often earn more when you're self-employed than as an employee for someone else's business, especially if your skills are in great demand. Tax benefits. Self employment also provides many tax benefits that aren't available to employees. Most important, you can take advantage of many tax deductions that are unavailable for employees. When you're self employed, you can deduct any necessary expenses related to your business from your taxable income, as long as they are reasonable in amount and ordinarily incurred by businesses of your type. This may include, for example, office expenses, including those for home offices, travel and meal expenses, equipment costs, and insurance payments. In addition, no federal or state taxes are withheld from your paychecks by an employer as they must be for employees. Instead, the self employed normally pay their own estimated taxes directly to the IRS 4 times a year. This means you can hold on to your hard earned money longer. It's up to you to decide how much estimated tax to pay, although there are penalties if you underpay. The lack of withholding combined with control over estimated tax payments can result in improved cash flow for the self-employed. In contrast to the numerous deductions available to the self-employed, employees are no longer employees are no longer allowed to deduct work-related expenses. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act eliminated all such deductions by employees for 2018 through 2025. For example, an employee may not deduct work related driving expenses, but a self employed person can. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act also established a brand new pass through deduction that enables self employed taxpayers to deduct up to 20% of their net business income from their income taxes, effectively lowering the tax rate on their business income by 20%. This deduction is not available to employees. In addition, the self employed can establish retirement plans such as self employed SEP IRAs and solo 401k plans that have tax advantages. These plans also hold them to shelter a substantial amount of their incomes until they retire. Because of these and other tax benefits described later in this book, the self employed often ultimately pay less in taxes than employees who earn similar incomes. Indeed, as a result of the changes brought about by the TCJA Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the tax advantages of being self employed are greater than they have ever been. Working for yourself, the bad. Despite its advantages, being self employed is no bed of roses. Here are some of the major drawbacks: no job security. When you're an employee, you must be paid as long as you have your job, even if your employer's business is slow. If you're self employed and do not have business, you don't make money. As one self employed person says, if I fail, I don't eat. I don't have the comfort of punching a time clock and knowing the check will be there on payday. All right. No free benefits. Although not always required by law, employers often provide their employees with health insurance, paid vacations, and paid sick leave. More generous employers may also provide retirement benefits, bonuses, and even employee share profit sharing. When you're self-employed, you get no such benefits. For example, you must pay for your own health insurance. Fortunately, you can obtain health insurance through Obamacare, even if you have pre-existing medical condition. Um, Time loss due to vacations and illness comes directly out of your bottom line. Time lost due to vacations and illness comes directly out of your bottom line, and you must fund your own retirement. No unemployment insurance, because companies that hire self-employed people, do not pay unemployment compensation taxes for the self-employed. You cannot collect self-employed. You cannot collect unemployment benefits when your work for a firm ends. Okay. No workers' compensation. Employers must generally provide workers' compensation coverage for their employees, which provides benefits for injuries that occur on the job, even if the injury was the employee's own fault. In contrast, hiring firms do not provide workers' compensation coverage for the self-employed people they hire. If a work-related injury, if a work-related injury is a self-employed person's fault, he or she has no recourse against the hiring firm. And even if it's the hiring firm's responsibility, the self employed person will have to deal with the expense and hassle of a lawsuit. All right. No free office space or equipment. Employers normally provide their employees with an office or space in which to work and the equipment they need to do the job. This is not usually the case when a company hires a self-employed person who must normally provide his or her own workplace and equipment. Few or no labor law protections. A wide array of federal and state laws that protect employees from unfair exploitation by employers, such as wage and hour rules and requirements for family and medical leave, don't typically apply to self the self-employed. Okay, complete business responsibility. If you're self-employed, you won't have a company payroll department to withhold and pay taxes for you. You must run your own business. For example, you'll need to have at least a rudimentary record keeping system or hire someone to keep your records for you for tax and other purposes. Others may discriminate. Because you don't have a guaranteed annual income as employees do, insurers, lenders, and other businesses may refuse to provide you with services or may charge you more than employees for similar services. It can be difficult, for example, for a self employed person to obtain disability insurance, particularly one who works at home. Also, it may be more difficult to buy a house because lenders are often wary of self employed borrowers. To prove you can afford a loan, you'll likely have to pr- provide a prospective lender with copies of your recent tax returns and a profit and loss statement for your business. Right. Three, three o'clock. Okay. Discussing the pros and cons of self-employment. Ask about ask about the tax benefits.